Kyrie Irving is without a doubt one of the most exciting young guards in the NBA today. With an endless variety of finishing moves and creativity, stopping him from scoring became a futile endeavor for most defenses. After 3 straight finals appearances, 1 win, and the game winner in Game 7, which is conceivably the clutchest shot of all time, Kyrie decided he'd had enough of playing in LeBron's immense shadow and formally requested a trade. While turning down a surefire 4th straight finals appearance was surprising, it was even more interesting to see the list of teams he preferred. Strong coaches in Popovich, Spoelstra, and Thibodeau were all at the top of his list, indicating to me that he was interested in existing in an offense that had more balance and movement. While the Celtics weren't on his initial list, Brad Stevens is the poster child for team play in the half court, where his teams spread you out, create closeouts, and attack on the catch, relying on spacing and ball movement rather than individual talent and isolations. It took little convincing for Kyrie to waive his trade kicker and accept the trade to Boston, and Stevens will have his hands full working with a completely revamped team with few returning players. There are some similarities to the way Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie play the game, as both are relentless attackers and have a fondness for off-the-dribble jumpers. While their methods are decidedly different, the offense that generates Kyrie shots won't change too much, so it's worthwhile looking at how Isaiah generated his shots to illustrate how Kyrie can fill that position and produce in much the same way. First off, Cleveland's offense had way less movement and off-ball screens, and while both use the pick and roll the most, it will be decidedly different and easier for Kyrie when he executes the kind of action we see from Isaiah. The Celtics get into their offense quickly, and I love this pistol action where they hand off to Isaiah and then set the inside ball screen for him. Great spacing for him to find his shot, and here he nails the 3. Similar action as Kyrie gets the handoff, then flips the screen back to his right and gets the wide open triple to go down. The Celtics like to set a quick drag screen for Isaiah before the defense could get set and generate open looks, and the Cavs would do the same thing, sometimes with a double screen to get him open from behind the arc. The Celtics would run a lot of double high post horn sets, and Isaiah had the choice to use the screen and get into the big man's body to protect the ball. Kyrie is no stranger to running off elbow ball screens, and his left hand is arguably as good as Isaiah's, who is a natural lefty. Isaiah normally goes off the ball screen in one direction, using his water bug speed to dart to an open area, where Kyrie was much more comfortable using the same screen twice to get into space before pulling up for the mid-range. The Celtics would also just set straight high ball screens without much movement and let Isaiah go to work crossing over and getting downhill for tough finishes over the big men. But if it's tough finishes you want, Kyrie was able to succeed despite the offense not giving him any help. Again, notice how difficult these offhanded lefty floaters are, under duress when the defense was within a fingernail of blocking these. However, on occasion, the Cavs would break out some good movement, like this flex action that turned into a trailing ball screen, action that Stevens would be wise to add in order to get Kyrie open for his patented mid-range bank shot. And this type of weave action is also similar to much of what the Celtics run, and it flows into pistol pick and roll where we get to see more of Kyrie's tough shot making in action. There was plenty of action where Isaiah played off the ball as well, something I'd expect to see Kyrie do plenty of, as the threat of Horford's outside game can open up wide open corner shots like these. One thing Stevens is going to like adding to the offense is Kyrie setting screens, then cutting to get open. Flipping rolls to have the point guard set the ball screen is always a worthy action, and Kyrie finds the open triple. Watch how Kyrie sets the back screen for LeBron, which just opens up a closeout to attack for him, and a nice one-dribble pull-up off the glass. Isaiah didn't set nearly as many screens himself, instead relying on the great ball movement that Stevens demanded of his offense once the floor was spread and penetration was made. Kyrie is no stranger to being part of great ball movement on offense, and the penetration is made the same way with the pass of the roll man. Great perimeter passing gets Irving a similar 3. One thing different for Kyrie is he won't have LeBron to simply back his man down, see over the defense, and hit him with a pass for a good shot. And while you're anxiously awaiting the season to start, finish off your summer right by listening to audiobooks from Audible. I'm listening to Return of the King about the Cavaliers championship season right now, and it seems pretty clear why Kyrie wanted out of Cleveland. They have an unmatched selection of audiobooks, including ones that will prove the world is round. So head over to audible.com/BBallBreakdown and get a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Within minutes, you can be listening to books on Isaiah Thomas, Kyrie Irving, or John Irving, and your first book is free if you visit audible.com/BBallBreakdown. Now let's get to my favorite part of this video, handoffs. The Celtics led the league in handoff frequency, and you can see how this opened up Isaiah's scoring. They'd set a pin down into handoff out top for him, and just watch how he uses his speed and change of pace to get to the rim. I also like this crossback action where he hands it off, then cuts back around, then turns it into a ball screen and another crossover for the floater. The Cavaliers were almost dead last in handoff frequency, which is a shame since they were ranked 6th in efficiency. I love how they got Kyrie back screening for a shooter before coming off the high post. Look how much room he gets on this 3-ball. The Celtics run plenty of horns, so expect Kyrie to be familiar with cutting through from the top, screening, then coming off a pin down into a handoff. Then there's the incredible ball and body control leading to the gorgeous lefty finish. And here's the same play off of horns, but watch how creative Kyrie can get to generate a shot. A much needed skill that surpasses even Isaiah's level of shot making and raises their offense to a different level. So it shouldn't be hard to envision Kyrie running off of screens into handoffs in Brad Stevens' offense and at least matching Isaiah's output, if not eclipsing it. While Isaiah only isolated 9% of the time in Stevens' move it or lose it offense, he was elite at finishing out of this action. Replace him with Kyrie, and you got an equally elite player, but who did it for over 21% of his possessions, something that will surely take pressure off of Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, and Marcus Morris, among others. I'm sure Stevens will utilize the elbow isolations more often to take advantage of a clear strength. With all the spacing the Celtics offense created and Isaiah's high usage, it was a little surprising he didn't average more than 5.9 assists per game. So many of them came out of the same handoff and pick and roll action we've seen, where he could draw defenders and make the simple read to the cutter. With his size, he can't see over defenses, which limits him for the most part to basic passes that are in front of him. Kyrie is 6 inches taller, which would theoretically allow him an advantage of vision, but he averaged virtually the same amount of assists per game. I'd argue it was more of a function of his role in the offense, as LeBron James was the designated ball controller. But there are plenty of signs of good vision from Kyrie as well, and the ability to throw skip passes for open threes will be vital to the Celtics offense. With his new role in Boston, I bet he'll average closer to 8 assists per game as long as his teammates can hit the open shots he generates for them. Neither of these two were stalwarts on defense, but because of Isaiah's size, closing out on shooters makes it very difficult to affect the shot in a meaningful way. While he did exert good effort consistently, there was simply no ignoring the team's defensive rating plummeted when he was on the court. At 6'3", Kyrie should be able to affect more shots with the extra inches, but he was equally ineffective. And while a lot of it had to do with poor effort on Kyrie's part, there just seemed to be a lack of attention team-wide to the defensive end, as the Cavaliers had one of the worst defenses in the league the second half of the year. It's possible that a different environment will get better effort out of him. After all, we've seen tremendous defensive playmaking ability when he is engaged and focused. It's just a question of getting him in the right frame of mind to put it on display. So there you have it, sports fans. This trade was a great way to wake us up out of our late summer malaise, and it certainly sends ripples across the whole Eastern Conference, and it should give Celtics fans more hope than they've had since the Big Three. While you can criticize Ainge for giving up too much for Kyrie, he very astutely avoided having to deal with a max contract for Isaiah in a year in exchange for Irving, who has 2 years left on his deal. And while giving up a Nets pick could be huge, Brooklyn might be slightly better than most people think, and the Celtics still have the Lakers pick. So keep your eye on how Kyrie fits with all their other brand new pieces, because the true test will be whether Brad Stevens can mesh so many new pieces together in time to make a run at the Cavaliers in the playoffs. Sports fans, to see more of our great NBA content and analysis, make sure to hit the subscribe button, but also click the bell and adjust your settings so you can get an alert the second our videos drop, because trust me, you're going to want them hot and fresh. You in?